again. This is Scott App here with Abundance Coaching TV, and I hope that you're having an amazing day. In today's episode, we're going to be tackling a really important topic, and that topic is, are you giving yourself away and leaving a legacy? It's one of the topics that I feel is really timely because, of course, it's the end of 2012, and if you're watching this live or you're watching it as a replay, even if it's 2013, the question will come up for you whether or not you feel that you are actually leaving a legacy in your life. Leaving a legacy is something that all of us think about at one point in time or another. But what I've found as a coach is that I often have clients that think about that question in their 40s, 50s, and all of a sudden it just comes to grips with them that they really aren't where they want to be in their life. And they start looking to the past and they start recognizing that maybe they aren't exactly doing what they want to do, or they aren't really making the type of difference that they want to make in their life. So leaving a legacy is a really important thing to consider. And one other thing that I often do I actually always do with my younger clients is to give them the motivation to start thinking about leaving a legacy now, as you're in your youth. Because as you continue on in life, it will resist that temptation to ever think that there'll be a time that you will have regrets. Because if you know that you're actually leaving a legacy along the way, you'll know where you are, and you'll have clarity with where you are and where you're going, and you won't have to live without those types of regrets. In today's episode, I'm really excited because we're going to meet the question, are you leaving a legacy head on? And I have a couple really cool people one really cool person that we're going to have on the show as well that is going to highlight this conversation. You know, what is a legacy? Each of us was created as an amazing, as amazing, and we've been just blessed with a host of gifts to offer. And isn't that true? All of us are created as special. All of us are created as amazing human beings. And when you start to appreciate yourself and you start to have gratitude for yourself, gratitude for who you are, something special happens. Something empowering happens. Something amazing happens. And it's the fact that you are leaving a legacy. You're making a difference in life. You're making a difference in your world. You're making a difference that will matter for years to come. Our guest today, of course, I'm your host. We're going to have Rocky Balboa. Not really, but we're going to have a clip of him, and I put it on there because I just thought that'd be awesome. Ted McGrath is our featured expert that's going to be on our show today. Now, Ted has made a great impression on my life, and the reason why I wanted him on the show is because I really feel like he is a living example of somebody in his youth that's leaving a legacy today. And he's given himself away, but he's doing it in such a way that he's leaving a trail of followers. He's bringing people along with him, and that's his legacy. His legacy is turning more people to have an organization that has more transformations than any other organization in the world. And I believe in his cause. I believe in what he stands for. And as he's looking at doing his legacy, I'm impressed with how courageous he is and how bold he is and how he's stepping in with that cause. So I'm very excited about interviewing him. He will be live with us in just a few minutes. I also show a clip of Zig Ziglar. And for those of you that are in the personal development field, you may know Zig Ziglar. He's one of the most popular, sought-after motivational speakers, authors, and he unfortunately passed away at the age of 86 on November 28th of this year. And I want to honor him because he's a man who's left a legacy. And some of his family are going to be on our call here as well, or on our video here as well. And I want you to know that that'll be a little bit later on our show, but we really want to leave a legacy with him as well. So what does a legacy mean? It's something that's handed down. Something that's handed down from an ancestor or a predecessor from the past. So something that you're handing down. So oftentimes you think of a legacy as when you pass away. So, you just do it that way. So, yeah. So basically what you do is that's just something that you can do when you're ready to actually write your will, for an example. You know that you're actually leaving a legacy. So, you know, that's just something that's important in that aspect. So what we could do is we'll take a look at 3 life-changing questions. You know, what great idea or hope do you wish to turn into reality with the support of a coach? That's one of the questions that I ask when I have new coaching clients. And the reality is that people are, you know, ready to go when it means that they actually want to turn the reality into their big idea into a reality. When you get to a place of knowing that you actually have a big idea, something that's maybe bigger than yourself, something that you feel like you're spinning in circles with, it's awesome to actually know that there's a support infrastructure that you can choose to take on. And I believe that coaching is an amazing way for you to actually move forward and to actually start leaving and living that legacy. It's an incredible path to actually choose. Another question I ask is, what obstacles or blocks prevent you or holding you back from turning this big idea into reality? There's obstacles, there's blocks that are all over the place that prevent you, that hold you back from really leaving that type of legacy that you really want to leave in your life. And it's important to actually take a look at those obstacles because they're real. And sometimes they may seem like, you know, you've just been hitting them for a long time. But appreciate them, write them down, and take a look at that. And once again, when I do my coaching, I ask that question. A lot of things come out when we ask those types of questions. And then, of course, what kind of feelings are you hoping to actually get when you turn that big idea into a reality? Reality is a great word, isn't it? You want to manifest things. You want to actually see things that aren't as if they are and make them happen for your life. And as you're aware of things, you want to actually know that your life stands for something. Really, when I think about leaving a legacy, I think about the word significance. People want to live a life of significance. I've found that, I've seen that time and time again. If you're not leaving a life of significance, then at one point you'll definitely be hit with that question, you'll be hit with that thought. So why not ask yourself the question, am I living a life of significance today? You know, you can be a hero. There's a song that's out there that I really appreciate. I love this song, and it's basically talking about how in life you can be the change that you want in the world. And you can rise above the normal, you can rise above the circumstances and the fear and the doubts and what you're afraid of. Because, you know, at the end, we really were created as the light, and we are the hope, and we are, you know, the love inside that's worth fighting for. And when I think about this song, when I play this song, I really just identify with that attitude that I am a hero, and you are a hero. And maybe not in the superhero sense of the superhero like, you know, Superman or something like that. But when you actually think about a hero and what it means, it's basically, you know, the life choices that you're making along the way that identify you as a hero or having heroic qualities. And you are a hero in what you do. Just know that you are the light. You're the light to somebody who's in need. In this Christmas season, you're the light to your family, to people around you, your neighbors. And you are the hope, and there's love inside you that's worth fighting for. We're going to show a clip here in just a second from Rocky Balboa. And I just really appreciate this clip. So we're just going to play it now, and we're going to cue that up. And as soon as this clip is done, we'll have Ted McGrath on our show with us, and we're going to talk about leaving a legacy. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be awesome. Enjoy this Rocky clip.
You know, living with you, it hasn't been easy. People see me, but they think of you. Now with all this going on, this is gonna be worse than ever.
It don't have to be.
No, sure it does.
Why? You got a lot going on, kid.
Oh, what, my last name? That's the reason I got a decent job. That's the reason why people deal with me in the first place. Now I start to get a little ahead. I start to get a little something for myself, and this happens. Now I'm asking you as a favor not to go through with this, okay? This is only gonna end up bad for you, and it's gonna end up bad for me.
You think I'm hurting you?
Yeah, in a way you are.
That's the last thing I ever wanted to do.
I know that's not what you want to do, but that's just the way that it is. Don't you care what people think? Doesn't it bother you that people are making you out to be a joke and that I'm gonna be included in that? Do you think that's right? Do you?
You ain't gonna believe this, but you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that. I'm always gonna love you no matter what. No matter what happens. You're my son, you're my blood. You're the best thing in my life. But until you start believing in yourself, you ain't gonna have a life.
All right, welcome back, everyone. This is Scott here again with Abundance Coaching, and I have Ted McGrath with me. Hey, Ted, how's it going?
Terrific, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome, man. This is great. I'm so stoked that you're with us right now, and yeah, we're gonna have a blast.
I'm excited too. Now, you're in Canada right now, right?
Yeah, you betcha. I'm in a snowy wonderland. We got feet of snow out here right now.
Well, hey, I'm in San Diego, but I'm heading to snow in a couple days, so I'll be right there with you.
Cool. Where are you gonna go?
I'm going to Jersey.
All
so
right.
There's either going to be hurricanes or snow. You know, that's what's happening in the winter over there.
Yeah, for sure, man. Cool. So, yeah, I just want to introduce you to the people that don't know who you are, that are watching this either live or as a replay. And there's going to be a bunch of people that do know who you are as well that'll be watching this. And Ted, you're the founder of Coaching Leadership Academy and Business Breakthrough Immersion. And yeah, honestly, you've helped me in such an awesome way because as a result of some of the Coaching Leadership Academy stuff that I've done with you, I've taken a massive step in with what I do and with my business, and I really appreciate you and what you're teaching and how you're inspiring leaders around the world. So
thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. So do you want to tell us just a little bit about what you actually do with your Coaching Leadership Academy and Business Breakthrough Immersion?
Yeah, pretty simple. My passion for a long time has been working with entrepreneurs, but specifically working with coaches and speakers. I just love working with people who want to make a difference and an impact in the world. And what I've discovered in doing that is you can teach somebody a skill set, you can teach them a craft, you can teach them how to speak, you can teach them how to coach. You can teach somebody lots of things, but most importantly, if you want to get your voice out in the world, if you want to get your passion out in the world, you know, we're really focused on helping people build a lucrative business, but also have a great lifestyle as well. So we teach coaches, speakers, and entrepreneurs how to build a lucrative and lifestyle-friendly business. And you know, many people ask me, well, you could be teaching a whole heck of a lot of other things. Why'd you choose that? And I truly believe that, if you really want to succeed, you have to know how to get your voice out there. You have to know how to be heard. You have to know how to share your message in a way that people are going to listen. So we teach people all the tools and skill sets that they need to do that in building their business.
Awesome, man. That's great. Very, very
Thank
cool. Hey, so we just watched a clip from Rocky, and you're movie buff. You watched Rocky. Here's this 60-year-old guy. He's wanted to go back in the ring, and his son's all uptight because his dad's like this big shadow, and he's not getting where he wants. And they're in the alley, and that big quote comes up, about life. And the exact quote from Rocky is, "You, me, nobody's gonna hit as hard as life." And he goes on to say, it doesn't matter how hard you get hit, but it's a matter of you moving forward, right? So why is it that so many people out there, like the son in that clip, looking there and just like justifying their case and looking at the big shadow, and they're not able to like move on?
I think people are lucky to get hit. I think the problem is that most people aren't ever in a position where they get hit. And that's the big challenge that you see, especially in entrepreneurship, is that people don't step in. It's just human nature likes to stay safe and comfortable. We're all like that. And the bottom line is that we have to create circumstances and situations, whether it's our own personal vision, which is the best way to do it, where you create a vision for your life that's so darn inspiring, and you go out there and you put your name on the line, you put your reputation on the line, you put everything on the line, because that's what entrepreneurs do. They'll risk everything. And some people will risk more than others, but some entrepreneurs, they'll risk everything they have for that future vision. And I learned that a long time ago when I was 21 years old, when my coach taught me that. And ever since then, I've lived like that. And you know what? Sometimes it's a matter of putting yourself out there and risking it with a relationship to say, you know what, I'm going to risk it because I know that by committing to this relationship and committing to doing this, that I will create the circumstances around me that will actually force me to have to step in and step out of my comfort zone and do the thing that I love, and then take the hits that I'm ultimately going to take along the way. But the hits, so you might call them problems, but they're really solutions in disguise.
Yeah.
It's masked as a problem, and we should be so lucky to take the hits because that's where we learn the greatest amount. And I think that's what Rocky was talking about there, is you got to at least step in, get in the game, get in the ring, get hit. Because if you're not doing it, you're just playing it safe. And why do so many people do it? Because we're creatures of comfort. We like to be comfortable. And what we do is we create, safe problems. And we stay in our whole zone of creating problems in our life to distract us from what's really meaningful and matters most, which is our life's purpose, our vision, and being there for our families.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. One of the things that I do in some of my coaching calls, I go through a boxing analogy because I do kickboxing, and I think it's just the analogies from boxing are awesome. And I get people to actually like put up their gloves and pretend that they're actually taking the hits and they're in the corner. And then I ask them, what's the only thing that you want to do in that situation? And it's to get out of the corner, whatever you have to do, because as long as you're staying in the corner, you're just gonna get hit more and more and more, right? So as they move out, they actually put themselves in a position, of course, to actually strike and to win and to actually get into that winning position. And that's awesome, just with the attitude there of winning. So
it's a great. I remember the movie scene, and it's very inspiring. And people will say, "Well, Sylvester Stallone's not a good actor," but you know what? That floats all over YouTube. That video, and it comes from a place where there's something about Rocky that inspires people. The underdog of getting hit down and beat down, and we're all in a place right now, or not. I shouldn't say all of us, but there's a lot of people in a place right now where things are tough out there.
Yeah.
But you know what? Things are tough for a reason, and whether the economy gets better or whether it doesn't, things should never be easy. Yeah. You always want something to be challenging. Otherwise, what's the point of getting up in the morning? You want that great challenge. You want to make that phone call that you're scared to make. You want to sit in that client meeting that you're petrified to sit in front of. You want to get in front of that bigger person that's playing a better game than you. And the truth is that where you're at and who you're surrounded by now, they're going to take you so far. But there's a whole nother game, a whole nother level of people out there that will challenge each of us to get better and bigger and move faster and do things smarter. And that's where we all want to be. And everyone deserves that. That's why I got in the coaching business. Not because I've always had great coaches. I've had great mentors and coaches. But I got in the coaching business because I wanted to be surrounded by that, because I thought I always relied on myself to do things, and I always would, I wouldn't seek guidance as much, and I wanted to be around guidance more so I could be around great people that would show me a better way, and then ultimately I could take that better way and innovate it and maybe make it authentic and congruent with my voice, my passion, and what I love to do. And at the end of the day, don't forget one thing, the most important thing is your authenticity and your voice and your passion. And people will give you ideas, but when you're in the zone, you know what? Ideas come through you, and you start acting not based on what's been done in the past. You start acting based on your vision of the future, and you don't even care whether somebody's ever done it or whether they ever think it could be done. You believe it and you feel it in your heart. And mostly today I get people asking me, hey, Ted, why are you doing this? Like, there's other people that are out there doing something similar, but why are you doing this? And I just tell them, because I was called to. No other reason. I'm called to do it. And when I'm called to do something, I do it. And if you're called to do something and you're not stepping up for the hero's journey right now, take a look deeper of why you're not doing it. If you get the call, you got to answer it. Otherwise, it won't ring again.
Yeah. Very inspiring words, man. I appreciate that. That's awesome. So we're going to actually cue up a little clip here because movies are a big theme. So there's another movie that's really going to set up some of the next conversations for you, man. So I'm going to put you on the spot here. We're going to actually throw a clip up of the Dead Poets Society. And when this clip is done, I want to ask you a question. And I'm sure people in the audience, just hearing Ted so far, you have this this idea that, what's he going to say next? And as you can tell already, he's incredibly passionate. He's a man of conviction and a man of courage. So we're going to put this clip on and hear what Robin Williams has to say in the Dead Poets Society.
Words and ideas can change the world. Now, see that look in Mr. Pitt's eye? Like 19th century literature has nothing to do with going to business school or medical school, right? Maybe. Mr. Hopkins, you may agree with him, thinking, yes, we should simply study our Mr. Pritchard and learn our rhyme and meter and go quietly about the business of achieving other ambitions. I have a little secret for you. Huddle up. Huddle up! We don't read and write poetry because it's cute. We read and write poetry because we are members of the human race. And the human race is filled with passion. And medicine, law, business, engineering, these are noble pursuits and necessary to sustain life. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we stay alive for. To quote from Whitman, "O me, O life of the questions of these recurring, of the endless trains of the faithless, of cities filled with the foolish, what good amid these, O me, O life? Answer, that you are here, that life exists and identity, that the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be?
All right, wonderful. So what a clip. And I'm going to ask you the powerful question now. At the very end, he talks about, you could be a dentist, lawyer, physician, all these different things. And they're important and they're essential for society to exist. But poetry, beauty, romance, love, these are what we live for. Life exists in identity. That the powerful play goes on that you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on that you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be, Ted McGrath?
You know what's funny? That movie, it must be 25, 30 years old, right? And I probably saw that, like bits and pieces of it, Heck, when I was 10 or 8 years old, I remember seeing flashes of it, but I never watched it in its entirety till last year.
Oh, really?
And yeah, I was never really called to watch it for some reason, I don't know. But that movie, I love it. And you know, my whole life and my whole business is about passion. And if you don't have passion, if I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, I can't do it. And I talk about what I do is helping people build a lucrative business and a lifestyle-friendly business, but where that comes from and why I'm here, you know, my whole thing, my verse is I'm here to inspire people to transform their lives, period. And I look into myself, where I would offer you to do the same, those of you listening, is, you know, look into yourself and ask yourself the question, who are you?
Yeah.
Because that's where the poetry comes from. It's not the thing. It's not how you're building the business. It's not what you're doing. It's not even why you're here. Like I say, I'm here to inspire people to transform their lives, but it's the word and the question of where it comes from of who are you? And when I answer it in one word, I get one word is inspiration. If I ask it again, another word is passion. If I ask it again, it's transformation. So those are the words that make up my mission and really why I'm here on this planet. And to me, that's poetry to my ears. It's the words of inspiration and passion and transformation. Those are the things that have meaning to me. And how we put it into action is teaching people how to find their passion so they can build a lucrative business and make money doing it. Because in the world that we live in, you can have your passion and you can have poetry and it can all sound great.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you can't get it out there for people to hear it, then what good is it? And that's kind of the mix we're in today is, you know, the poetry can be written in your binder, in your journal. But if nobody's reading it, if the world isn't seeing it, then it's like that old saying that I heard that the richest places in the world are not the banks, or they're not the, the stock market, or they're not the real estate in the world. The richest places in the world are the cemeteries.
Yeah.
Because of all the dreams that have been buried and not lived, all the stories and all the poets and all the poetry that's been buried and not shared, all the passions that people have that haven't been shared with the world. I mean, what a shame, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I go to make sure that people are able to have what you have. I go to make sure that they get your message. I mean, that's why I'm here. And there's nothing that convicts me more than helping somebody like you get your voice heard, because everybody's got one. And I don't believe that we go out there and I sit here and say, hey, you know, I'm teaching people how to build a business and I'm unique. Well, there's a lot of people out there teaching people how to build a business. There's a ton of people in my industry, but you know what? Nobody does it quite like me, and nobody does it quite like you, whatever your vocation is.
Yeah.
Because you do it in a way, and who you show up as, and how you're being, and how you make people feel, and what you ask them to do, and how you inspire them through your leadership. That's what makes the difference. That's what they buy, nothing else. They don't buy your program or your product. That may be the thing that implements it, but they buy you. And that's my thing. My verse is, I go to make sure that your message and your voice and your passion is experienced by the world. And that's why I'm creating a movement of leaders and coaches, because I want to lead with other leaders. I want to do this with a team of people. If you look at the structure of my business, you know, people always ask me, well, how do I get to the next level? And for me, it's not the next level of income. For me, it's always, how do you get to the next level of teamwork and synergy with the right people, to where you don't have employees in your company, you have partners. To where you don't have clients, you have partners. Like, we have a partnership program where people come work with us. It's called the partnership program, where our clients, who are our top tier clients especially, they are part of our organization. They're part of our vision. And I just challenge everybody, including myself, how do you create that vision so big that 20 years into the future, you see it so clearly of what you want to create, that it moves you 20 times faster in the present?
Man, that's awesome. That's so cool. When you talk about that, like you can just like get alive and fueled by like the passion, right? But you didn't always have as much passion as what you have. And I'm sure there's people out there that are like, hey, that sounds awesome, Ted. You know what you're talking about, and yeah, I'm just not where you're at, like passion wise, right? But you didn't always have that same story and that same enthusiasm. You had a pit in your life. Can you tell us a little bit about like the pit, and maybe weave it in such a way that like somebody who's watching could understand like how they could maybe get out of the pit if they feel right now that they're in the pit, they don't actually even know who they are, know their why, and how they could actually get out of that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And even if you're not at the level of passion, I mean, before I had passion, I was pissed off. Before I was pissed off, after I was pissed off, I was sad, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, whatever the emotion is, you know, it's like that emotion, to me, being pissed off is just an immature expression for my passion. It's just because I'm not able to channel it in the right way. So whatever emotion you've got right now, I mean, that is your gift. And for me, you know, the pit, it all looks good now. But you know, the pit probably started for me when I was 6. And I don't have a situation that's uncommon like most people. Some people have experienced. It's just, for me, it's unique from my experience, the way that I interpreted it. But you know, when my parents came through the door at 6 years old and told my brother and I that they were getting a divorce, you know, I didn't hear that you were getting a divorce. The words that I heard were that that you're not loved and that you're not good enough. And that's not what my parents said, but that's what I heard.
Yeah.
And I took that experience, that interpretation, and basically my entire life I chose a life of independence over love.
Yeah.
And I chose a life of independence over connection. And a life like that to me is just meaningless, because for 25 years after that, and really up until recently, I'm 35 now, but for years I struggled with trying to be successful so that I could be and get that connection and feel that love from other people.
Yeah.
And that strategy did not work out so well. And eventually, Scott, you know my story, but I got into corporate America, and I struggled with alcohol and addictions my whole life. I lost family members to it who died at a very young age, and a lot of people in my family struggle from alcoholism. And when I was about 22, I had a near-death experience where I overdosed on ecstasy and cocaine and alcohol, and literally felt my soul coming out of my body when I was 22 on the kitchen floor. I'll never forget it. And you'd think I would have smartened up, and I stopped doing drugs then, but I continued to drink for, another 10 years. And while doing that, I had success. I became the number 5 partner out of 500 partners for a company called New York Life Insurance, which is, if you know New York Life, it's the number 1 life insurance company in the country. And I got to this position of power and still felt nothing. And the day I got the promotion and reached the top was the day I decided to leave, because I knew I had to figure it out. I knew I had to find out, who is Ted McGrath? Who am I really, and what lights me up? And I had a sense that I always wanted to make a difference in people's lives. I had a sense that I wanted to speak to people, even though I was petrified to do it. But I knew I had to leave corporate America, and I left. And it was the scariest thing that I ever did, because when I left and I decided to go on the journey of becoming a real entrepreneur, I made bad decisions. I got involved and started up businesses and thought it would be easy, and blew over 7 figures in money, bad real estate deals, blew through all my cash, all my investments. And then I realized, crap, I got to figure out my life. And the first thing I needed to solve was my alcohol problem. And I discovered a process, a science that helped me go in and tune into those problems of anger and sadness and all those things, and channel that and transform it into the passion that you're hearing now today.
Yeah.
And once I made that shift, it was like all of a sudden I became congruent, and I was building my coaching business at the time. But when I made that shift, I gave up alcohol, and everything changed. And all of a sudden, I went from making $3,000 per client to $48,000 per $25,000 per client, and then so 11 months later, $48,000 per client. And then I built the business of my dreams. I mean, I travel all around the world. You mentioned some names before, prior to the interview, but I've shared the stage with legends like Brian Tracy, Les Brown, Deepak Chopra, Donna Karan. Heck, I remember painting my vision one day, and Tony Robbins picked up the phone and called me.
Awesome, man.
So, I've been able to get my voice out there, maybe premature to times where I wasn't ready for that, but I've been able to get it out there, and that's sort of where I've been. And today I'm really grateful for having made that shift.
Awesome, man. That's so cool. That's so cool. So when I was at the Coaching Leadership Academy, I'm totally going to put you on the spot here now. I'm warning you in advance.
I like like this. So go put me on the spot as much as you want. Okay?
All right. Awesome. Cool. So one comment that you made, and Ted, I don't know if you know this yet, but I have a beautiful wife. She's Australian, and we have 2 little boys, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. and they're just such an awesome reason to actually build a legacy and leave a legacy. Because when I got married, it wasn't just about me, and I have a similar story, like a background story. Like, I partied, I drank, I did way too much, nightlife stuff, but when you get married, there's something that shifts, and for me, something major shift. But having kids is even another major shift, as far as legacy. And of course, our topic today is like leaving a legacy and giving yourself away. So at the Coaching Leadership Academy, you said, I want to leave a legacy for my kids, but their job is to get here first.
Well, I can tell you what, I'm somewhat of a miracle maker, but it's only been 4 months, so they're definitely not here now, if that's your question.
Awesome, man.
No,
Cool.
they're definitely not here now. I do not have kids yet. But what's your question?
So the question, mate, is what inspires you, and how could you help people? There's a lot of single people that'll be watching this. How can you start thinking about legacy? Because frankly, I have to tell you that I thought a little bit about legacy when I was single. It was like maybe in my mind a little bit, but if I would have known more about like how much impact it would be like now that I'm a dad, about leaving a legacy of like my character and who I am and the lifestyle that I'm going to live, that would have been so helpful. So yeah, like what inspires you to know that you're going to leave a legacy for your kids, and how can you help other single people that are watching?
Yeah, I think there's a couple ways to look at that. I mean, for me personally, the inner journey was the biggest part into healing it, and having that love affair with myself first, and then also having that relationship and I don't know what people's belief systems are. I don't come from any I wasn't raised religious, but I found my connection with spirituality, and I found my connection with God, and that was probably the most important part of the journey for me first, was to have that connection with myself and that connection with God, because now that I'm connected, I feel a vision coming through me that's way bigger than myself. And I think that's the first step. It's like, where am I disconnected and not connecting with people enough, or not connecting to a higher power? Because once I'm connected to a higher power, what comes through me, it's not just me. It's not based on my knowledge or my experience or my wisdom. I don't really rely much on that right now. And to be quite honest with you, I'm an avid learner, but I'm going through a phase right now where I'm just not learning anything new from textbooks and things like that and reading. I'm learning things new by getting to know myself better and committing to my inner journey, even more so deeply, and committing to my connection. Now that I have that, I'm creating at a pace and a rate that I never could have imagined, and things are just starting to open up for me in a way where I'm just so grateful for it. And what's in terms of family and kids, you mentioned the last Coaching Leadership Academy. Probably the greatest thing that I got from that last event, I don't know if you remember this, Scotty, but a woman stood up and she says, I've been at seminars for 25 years, leadership seminars. Yeah. And she says, and I've never been to a seminar like this where the person leading from the front of the room had this much authenticity. Yeah. And she says, and I feel like a connection, like you're my family and I'll be with you for life. Yeah. And so for me, awesome. There's many different types of family. I have my immediate family, which my mom and my brother and my stepfather and my dad and my stepmother and everybody I'm going home to see in 2 days. And then I have a whole nother family, which is the people who come into my events and the people that are on this part of this movement and journey with me. And a funny thing, another woman sat outside with me, and she had known her, and she says, the reason I'm joining, and I just went through a bad divorce, and I've had problems with my ex-husband, and my kids are now, we're working on getting closer. But she says, I'm joining up with you because you're my family now. Mm-hmm. And I don't take that lightly. I take that as a huge responsibility. So I wouldn't exactly call these people my kids because they're older than me, most of them. So, so I would,
which is awesome, man.
Kid. But what I would say is they're my family, and so the legacy that we're going to leave as a family is something just really special. And do I want to have my own blood someday, where I have a son and a daughter to carry this on? I would love for that to be, and if that's part of my destiny, then so be it. I see that in my future. I believe that to be. And I'm really fortunate the place that I'm in right now in my life, and just grateful for it. And the legacy that I want to leave, I am just so passionate to lead a movement. And our long-term vision is to lead a movement of 1 million coaching leaders who are not just part of our programs and part of the movement, but who are literally certified in the processes that help me solve my challenges in my life.
Yeah.
And we can go work on things like poverty and disease and addictions and real world issues, humanitarian efforts. And that's our mission, to connect the million coaching leaders and help them build lucrative businesses so they have the resources. And we can unite our resources, whether, billions and billions of dollars to put towards causes. And I see centers of, hundreds of centers all around the world where people can come for mind, body, and soul and business, and to learn how to, build live their passion and heal whatever they need to heal. So that's sort of the legacy I'm after.
Oh man, that's awesome. And yeah, man, that's powerful, because, and I'm sure just watching that, for all the single people, you can gather something from that, just the authenticity that comes through. And that's what I appreciated the most about the conference too, is just that. So like my fascination factor, I just knew for me that word had to be in there. So I help people connect with their authentic, amazing self so that they can live with passion and have abundance in life. And authenticity is huge.
Yeah, it's great, and you're living it, man. I'm proud of everything you're doing, and look at what we're doing right now of getting the message out, your message, my message, helping other people get their voice heard, and that's what it's about. And I think if you can get to the end of the day, and I always look at what I'm doing and what I'm creating, and you get to the end of the day and know that you made an impact in whatever way, and know that tomorrow, I'm going to strive to make a bigger impact. And sometimes some days are better than others. We all have them. And you're just grateful for the ones that are great, and then you take the lessons from the ones that are not. And we all face challenges. And, I wondered when the heck I was going to get out of my pit. I really only feel like I've gotten out of my pit in the last year, to be quite honest. While I've been having success and building it over the last several years, I've never felt like I'm letting go of the struggle, and now I'm stepping into the flow of it. And it's a big transition, and I'm just fortunate that life can actually be like this, because I never believed it could. And that was part of the problem. And now I'm actually, through my experience and through hope and some faith, I'm actually developing the belief, and I do believe now that it can be this way, and that's why it is this way.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Ted, there's a really neat coaching video that you posted on your list, and I'll let you talk about like how people can find out more about you in a little bit here. But this video was about momentum and what you kind of do in the morning to actually get momentum. And a lot of people out there that and that I know, clients and coaches, everybody, we all struggle with that idea, that concept. We go like this and we get that momentum where we're on fire, and then it settles down, it simmers. Then we get momentum and then it simmers down, right? But there's some really neat ideas that you had could you share some of those ideas, just how to help people gain momentum?
Yeah, and all my momentum's changed recently, because I recently had a rib cage injury where I pulled my rib cage. You knew that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I always used to get momentum by getting in motion and going to work out in the mornings, and that would get me in the right state. And so I was a I went to a boot camp every morning where I would work out like a madman, and interestingly enough, I pushed myself so hard to the point where I was on vacation working out, I pushed myself too far. And really what it was is I attracted that. I created that situation to pull my rib cage, so I would be forced to slow down. So that video I created on momentum was actually after I pulled my rib cage. Yeah. And I've always woken up, and I've gotten in a place of stillness before I go work out. So I do meditation on a daily basis. I go to my best self, and I do my exercises to invite my best self in to join me while I'm in a peaceful place. Yeah. Which you've been to Coaching Leadership Academy, so you know what I'm talking about. But it's really, bringing my best self in, my more powerful, inspired, loving, caring, vibrant, dynamic me. And then, being in a place of meditating and getting my messages for the day. So I always start my day off like that. Always. Like every day I start off like that. And if for some reason I miss it, I come back at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and I make sure I have that time, but it's rare that I miss that. So starting off from a position of power to where you're centered and you're strong and you're ready to jump into the day is one way to do it. And when I get healthy again, which the great news is that I'm getting healthier, and I mean, this was a big thing for me because it impacted my organs, and I had kidney problems and So it started to turn into an issue, and we didn't know what it was, and now we've got it under control. But and so
Sure.
now I'm in a place where I feel good, I'm healthy, I'm about ready to start working out again. So I'll have my inner space of meditation and going to my best self, followed by my motion of, doing yoga now. So I've switched from boot camp stuff to yoga, and I just want to have a little bit more softer flow in my life where it doesn't need to be such a push. Momentum can be a really beautiful flow of doing things. And if you're like me and you're like a forcer, because I'm a force type guy, and like I'm gonna force it, I'm gonna go through walls, I'm gonna make it happen. And you know what? That shit just gets people hurt, man.
Oh, yeah.
You get hurt, and people get hurt from that. So I stopped doing that, and I've got my lesson, and I'm just more of a flow type person. So I suggest that, number one. And number two, part of the beauty of creating a business or a life by design is creating a system that actually automatically creates that for you. So in the past, it's been hard for me because I've had to not only go to that place of peace and then work out and get in that state and then be like, okay, I got to tackle the day and call all these people, to where now I've created a system where I've got so much going on, and I've got a system set up in my business where every day when I wake up, like my day is designed where I have calls and things that pull me into that state.
Right.
And that's probably the most beautiful place to be. And I went through my whole life being like, I want my life one day where I don't have to feel like I'm pushing so hard to get freaking momentum going. So finally, I built the system around me of having people and support and all of that, to where now I show up and I do the things that I love. Like, I love opening up opportunities. So if you see me today, I mean, all day long, I've either been on the phone or, in connecting with people, or following up on just some emails to put the relationships in place that are going to help us blow up our next event and have a great 4-day seminar. And I love creating opportunities. So my system is designed now to get me into a momentous, if that's even a word, I'll make it a momentous place and have momentum.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's so cool. So Ted, tell us a little bit about what you actually would experience. There's going to be some coaches that are on the line here, and tell us like what they would experience if they went to Coaching Leadership Academy. What would they experience, and what are they going to experience if they come in April?
So, I mean, Coaching Leadership Academy is designed to help coaches, speakers, but anybody who wants to share their voice and their passion. So you can be an entrepreneur who, or a professional right now who's trading your time for dollars, has a great skill set, has knowledge, has experience. You have something you want to share with the world and teach the world and coach the world on, but you don't know how to get paid for it. Yeah. And so what we help do is, whether you're a speaker or a coach already, it doesn't matter. You could just be somebody with an idea and something you want to share, and we'll show you how to package it and design it in a way to where you can create products, programs, and sell that information, that knowledge, that experience, and make money doing it online, in seminar rooms, consulting people, whatever. So what people experience when they come is, it's a beautiful, beautiful experience of 4 days of, and now we've changed it from 3 days to 4, where people come in the seminar room, and we'll have over 100 people at our next event in April. And for 4 days, you come and you learn, how do you package your knowledge and experience into a formula so you can communicate your value to the world and get paid. That's the first thing. The second thing is, once you've packaged it and you communicate it properly, the second thing is, how do you sell it? Yeah. So how do you sell it, and actually in a one-on-one situation with somebody, how do you sell it in a way where it inspires them to take action? I don't believe in closing. I believe in inspiring people. That's right. So how do you do that in a one-on-one conversation, or how do you do it in front of groups, or how do you do it in front of an audience, or how do you do it in a presentation through video? How do you do that? So that's step 2. And then step 3 is, how do you actually create the product? So if you have something you want to teach your coach on, if you learn to sell it, how do you create the product to actually design a product that has 6 modules or 7 steps or whatever, and design it in a way where people are going to want to buy it? And then how do you market it through the internet, through videos, through teleseminars, through webinars, to where people can buy your stuff without you even speaking to them live in person? They buy it through recordings. They buy it through videos that they watch. They buy it through, sales pages that they see on the internet. How do you do that? And then how do you create partnerships to get your voice out there? and to get your passion out there. And partnerships could be anything. Partnerships could be like partnerships with Scott and I, where we're talking right now and sharing my voice with you guys. Partnerships could be with, strategic relationships that you have that have distribution networks like email lists that they're going to get you out there, or have big followings on Twitter or Facebook. Or it could be partnerships like General Motors that I'm going to see in a couple weeks here, and Quicken Loans that are big corporations that I'm doing things with to promote me and help promote them too. So how do you create those? And that's really what we do there. And then if you want to speak, how do you put on seminars? We teach people how to do that. And then finally, how do you move through your crap? Like, how do you move through your and break through your stuff?
Yeah.
Your challenges, your problems. And how do you get in touch with your best self, your full potential, so you can move through all the things that are limiting you from going out there and truly building a lucrative business and building a lifestyle-friendly business? That's what we do at Coaching Leadership Academy. And if you wanna learn more about it, you can there's a website to go to where you can go watch a webinar. And I'll give you, it's 90 minutes of information all about it. But more so than all about Coaching Leadership Academy, it's like great content for you to actually start doing this.
Yeah.
So if you just go to Rise, R-I-Z-E, so it's R-I-Z like Z as in zebra, that's R-I-Z-E, global.com, R-I-Z-E global.com. You'll see me there on video, and we can say hello virtually again, and you just put your name and email address in there, and then it'll give you access to this 90-minute training where I can start to teach you on the training how to actually take what you know and how to package it, and then how to make money doing it.
Man, that's awesome. And I have to say, like, for the people that are watching, if you don't know this guy yet, he is going to leave this legacy that he actually claims he's going to leave, and he's already living it. And as a result of what we did there, I've come up with a totally new business plan and model. And I've created something called the Vertical Life Process ever since the Coaching Leadership Academy. And that'll be something that I'll be unfolding in the near future too, Ted. And I have to say that really it came as a result of me actually finding out how to bundle and package what I already knew. Like I already had the gift. I already had all these awesome skills with coaching clients, but I just didn't know how to package it. And as a result of some of the stuff that I learned at the Coaching Leadership Academy, that's helped me a lot. And yeah.
And I think to echo what you're saying, it's amazing because we are such busy bees in terms of our thought process. The average person has 65,000 thoughts a day. And it's like I always picture it as a swarm of bees. Like it's like you got all these thoughts and you're like, swat them out of the way because they're driving you crazy, and you got great thoughts too, but it's like what to filter first, and how do you actually start designing that in a step-by-step process to where you can actually communicate to people like how you're going to help them do it. Like I gave you a brief overview of how we do it, and I gave you certain steps because we've thought it out of how you help people doing it. It's like package and brand yourself first, step 1, sell it next, step 2, right? Step 3, create the products, right? Step 4 is you do the marketing. Step 5 is, you create the partnerships. Step 6 is you speak it and do seminars, So we have all the steps that we've created, and you've got it within you. It's just a matter of pulling that out and organizing that swarm of bees so that it becomes something that you all of a sudden you look at it differently, and you're in a room full of 100 people, and you have the support of everybody there, and all of a sudden you're present to your gift, and you're not discounting your gift, and you're not telling yourself the story that I can't do this or nobody would pay me for this. Yeah. Because what you realize is when you get in the room with us, you realize how ridiculous you are, because that's what I realized about myself, of ever discounting your voice and your passion, because we all do it. Every one of us discounts our passion and our voice, and we don't believe wholeheartedly that we can truly make money doing it. And when you get in a room full of people who start to believe that, or some of them believe it already, it's like magic happens. And then everybody supports one another, and then you actually take the steps you need to take to start doing it. Now, that's not the end of the journey, it's the beginning of the journey, and that's the exciting part about it.
Man, that's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, and it's all about the passion too, man.
see when they get in the room, right? With the energy and the passion that comes out.
Man,
So,
there's nothing like saying passion, passion, passion.
we'll be doing that times 10, and I know you'll be at the next one in April, right, Scotty? So
Yeah.
you got to come back, because it's going to be an entirely different seminar. And it's cool. We have great people there. I mean, I have world-class speakers that have been doing this for 30 years, and have built 8-figure businesses, and just bright people that I'm so grateful to be able to play with. And it's just fun. So have fun with us, but first start and go check out my training online at riseglobal.com with a Z, and you'll love it. Like, people watch the webinar and they're blown away at how much they're able to get done within that 90 minutes. And it's not like we give like really good content. We're not like the type of people that sit there and will blow smoke and then tell you to go buy something. It's like, we give really good content and you'll get so much out of it. And then at the end, I'll ask you to buy something if you want to. So.
Man, that's awesome. So cool. Ted, it's been amazing having you here on our show. I really appreciate you just taking your time out, because I know you've been busy, but you're going to take a little bit of time out with family now, right?
Yeah, I'm going Friday. I'm going up to see family, and I'll be up there for, I'll be up there for 2 weeks, which is great. And then I go to Detroit to go meet with, to do a seminar out in Detroit and meet with General Motors. So it'll be fun.
Awesome, man. That's so cool. Sweet. Well, I really appreciate you taking your time out. And guys, if you're interested at all in coaching, and if you are a coach already and you want to actually build your lifestyle-friendly business that's lucrative, just go to rizeglobal.com. And I know that if you aren't into coaching, because a lot of the people in the audience aren't into coaching, that you can get something out of what Ted was talking about as well. Just in just his passion and the motivation, and this replay will be available for you to watch at a later time as well. So I'll just leave you with this last question, and it has to do with what you were talking about earlier. It's like, what is your verse going to be? Like, what verse are you going to contribute in life? Because it's about leaving a legacy. It's about making a difference. So thanks again, Ted. It's been awesome having you here on the show, mate. And we're just going to cue up a little clip here from Zig Ziglar. And yeah, you know Zig a little bit, just heard about him through the circles. We're in coaching, right? So we hear all the names before us. Zig and some of the other guys that have gone before us that have left a legacy, and unfortunately Zig passed away, and that's why we're showing, one of the reasons why we're showing the video. And actually some of Zig's family are actually on the line with us too. So what do you have to say about like some of these legends in coaching and motivational speakers, guys like Zig Ziglar?
Yeah, I mean, I recently, it's sad to have somebody like that go. And Laurel, who's a friend of mine, Laurel Langmeyer, has been around the industry. Immediately she told me when it happened. And I know the people who've been in the business for 25, 30 years, I mean, they grew up with people like Zig. Zig was the pioneer in this industry before it ever even became an industry. So the thing that I love is it's like it's like we're standing on the shoulders of people like that. And every time a person like that comes along, we all get a little bit taller because we're able to stand on those shoulders. We get a little bit more confidence, and we have that foundation. And it's almost like being part of a family where your family is your confidence structure initially as you grow up, and you stand on their shoulders until you're ready to fly yourself. And my belief on that is that we're all standing on the shoulders of people who became before us, and we wouldn't have this confidence or this opportunity if it weren't for them to pioneer it. Yeah. So I'm grateful for people like Zig, even though I didn't know him personally, and I studied his stuff very little. I'm grateful that people like him were able to inspire and influence partnerships that I have now, whose entire careers were built through the inspiration of him. And I feel like a portion of what I'm doing right now has been built through legends like that. And I only hope that I could pass on the same legacy and leave an even greater contribution, because I think that's what somebody like Zig would have wanted for the next generation, to leave a greater contribution than the generation before. And if I leave even a contribution as equivalent to him, it would be just a freaking absolute privilege to be able to make that contribution. So,
yeah, man, that's awesome. And one of the big quotes that I know from him is that you can have what you want in life if you just help enough people have what they want. And you know, that's maybe you never even heard that, but you're echoing those kind of sentiments with what you're doing with servant first attitude.
Well, that is probably the smartest statement that I've ever heard, because I mean that's how I live. That's literally how I live, and if I could echo on that to say one thing, that's funny because I've never heard him say that, because I haven't been a student of his work, only briefly on a few things, and a student would mean that I've studied it and studied it and studied it. That's what I mean by student.
Yeah.
But that's such a great thing, because I always tell people, and I tell this to my team and everybody that I'm around, is like I give 10 times more. That's my thing. I'm always going to give 10 times more than what somebody is giving to me, because I just believe in that so much. And people will always ask me, well, 2 years ago, nobody knew who you were. How did you create all these relationships and partnerships? It's because I give 10 times more. Yeah. And I'm always looking for ways. I mean, I have partnerships with people like Laurel Langmeyer, who have been, raised by people like Zig.
Yeah.
And how did I get the relationship? It's because I give and give and give and give. And if I could just suggest one thing to all of us and echo Zig's words, is his words are so true. Help people, get what they want. Give them the opportunities and give and give and give. And you will just be a shining light in their eyes, and they'll never forget you. And even if it doesn't come back right away, and even if it doesn't come back tenfold, I don't have an expectation that it will. That's not why I give. I give to make an impact. And you know what? It makes me feel good. I was sitting there today doing it, and I have a guy that I just met about 10 days ago, and he's really big in our space. And I've developed such a great relationship because I'm showing up tenfold for him. But I like it. Like when I'm doing it and I find more opportunities just to help him, and I don't know how it's going to directly serve me at this time, I just have fun because I'm helping somebody who's making a big impact. And that's so special. Like I feel so good that I'm helping somebody who I know is making a huge impact. And if I'm helping him, I'm making a big impact.
Man,
and if you keep doing that, you'll never run out of opportunity. I have more opportunity right now than I think in a little bit we're going to know what to do with. But you know what? It's a great place to be.
Yeah. That's an awesome place to be. Awesome. And what a great place to actually leave you with leaving a legacy about serving and just giving 10 times more. And really that's a perfect segue, because the whole topic of the show is giving yourself away and leaving a legacy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's awesome. Thanks so much, Ted. It's just been a privilege having you on the show, man. And yeah, we're definitely going to be in touch. I'm definitely a follower of yours, and I just appreciate being in your mastermind and just working with you and all the things that you've taught me along the way. And for those of you who didn't catch the web address, it's rizeglobal.com. I'm Canadian, I say Zed.
I'm going to start saying Zed now too.
All right, awesome.
That on from now on when I have to talk about it. So that's my new thing.
All right, man. Awesome. Cool. All right, we're just going to cue up that clip from Zig, and we'll be right back with you for the end of our show.
I want to talk a little bit about goals on the line of how do you lose 37 pounds and write a book. I'm just going to kind of give you that as an example. For 24 years of my adult life, by choice, I weighed well over 200 pounds. I say by choice because, you see, I have never accidentally eaten anything. I mean, it's always been deliberate. And when I choose to eat too much today, I have chosen to weigh too much tomorrow. You can choose to set goals and realize your potential. or you can choose not to set them. Now, if you choose not to set them, you got to understand that the consequences are not going to be good down the road. For 24 years, I was going to lose that weight. As a matter of fact, in 24 years, I lost several thousand pounds of weight. How many of you already know exactly what I'm talking about? But it wasn't until I wrote it down, put a date on it, listed the obstacles I had to overcome, identified the people, the groups, the organizations I needed to work with, spelled out a plan of action, set that time limit in there, and identified all of the benefits to me. It was only when I did that that the goal became a reality, and I lost the weight.
I don't do counseling, but I talk with a lot of people who do, in psychology, psychiatry, and the ministry. And they tell me that everybody who comes to you with a problem are not necessarily looking for a solution. I couldn't understand that for a long time. Why do they bring you a problem if they don't want to solve it? Well, I can tell you why. They want to tell you about it, you about it, you about it, you about it, and you about it. And if you foul up the deal and solve the problem, they can't tell you again, you again. They want the attention that goes with the problem, and every company just about it has that kind of an individual. They want the attention that goes with griping and complaining. Well, I looked at the lady, and it wasn't unkindly, but firmly I said to her, yes, and you know, ma'am, I'm afraid your problem is about to get worse. She said, what do you mean? I said, I believe they're going to fire you. She was stunned. I couldn't have stunned her more if I'd hit her in the face with a bucket of ice water. She said, fire me? Why on earth would they fire me? The inflection in her voice clearly said, they're the bad guys, I'm the good guy. Why don't they fire them and keep me? Have you ever noticed that people who are the problem never recognize that they are? They're in complete denial. They think denial is just a river in Egypt. Why would they fire me? I said, ma'am, I don't believe there's a company in America big enough to contain this much poison in one small spot. Have you ever noticed that when somebody is about to lose something they've been complaining about, whether it's a car, a home, a mate, a job, or whatever, when all of a sudden it appears they're going to lose them, it takes on brand new value. She looked at me and said, well, what can I do? I said, do you really want to know? She said, yes, I do. That's the reason I came to see you. I came looking for help, but you sure haven't been any help so far. I said, well, ma'am, I've got an idea, and I will absolutely guarantee you it positively, definitely, absolutely will work if you will just do it. She said, I'll try anything within reason. I said, okay, when you get home tonight, all of your household tasks are complete. It's bedtime. Get off in a room right by yourself. Get a sheet of paper out, and at the top of it, write, I like my job because. She interrupted me. She said, that'll be easy. I don't like nothing about that job. Don't like nothing about those people down there. And I said, well, just as a matter of curiosity, do you work there for benevolent reasons, or do they pay you for working there? She said, well, I got to confess, they pay me. And I said, and you don't like to be paid? Oh, she said, yes, I do. I said, okay, tell you what you do. Open your notebook right now. We'll start our list of the things you like about your job. They pay you for working there, and you do like it, don't you? She said, absolutely. But she just stood there. I said, no, open your notebook now, and we'll get busy on the list. She just stood there. I said, ma'am, let me tell you what my experience in life has been. I've discovered that in 100% of the cases, no exceptions, people who won't take step number one never take step number two.
All right. Wow, what a clip. So for Zig's family, if you're watching, when you're watching, what a man. And you know that already. You know that he left a legacy. You know that he is continuing to leave a legacy. And that's one of the things that I was hit with when I was thinking about the topic of leaving a legacy. And the topic of leaving a legacy is powerful for me because I think about legacy, and I think that every single choice that I make has legacy imprints. And it's kind of like outside right now. I got tons of snow out there. When I walk around, man, we're making imprints every single step that we make. And whether or not it's something that's good that you're doing, where you're actually stepping in and you're stepping into the snow, you're making an imprint. So you're leaving a legacy. If you're a terrible dad and you hit your kids, or if you're an alcoholic and you're not a very good parent, man, you're leaving that kind of legacy. It's not just on the positive side. So, and then of course, if you're just living online default, you're leaving that kind of legacy. And it's not always easy to hear these kinds of things too, because a lot of us feel like, hey, we don't have any purpose, direction, we don't have the passion out there. So we feel like we're living on that line default, and we're not going up, and we're not having the momentum like what Ted was talking about to actually like go for things that are bigger than ourselves. And also what Ted talked about, how rich the graveyards are. Why? I thought that was really profound, because underneath the grave are all the dreams and all of the things that people just didn't get out. The voice, the song that they didn't sing. So is there a song that's left inside of you that you didn't sing? And one of the things, I watched a different clip from Zig Ziglar that I thought was really inspirational, was that in his old age, like, because he's 86 when he passed just barely, in his old age, he continued to speak. And he needed help getting up on the stage. And he said, I'm gonna speak and motivate people until I'm gone. And he had that kind of conviction. And people wanted to hear, they wanted to gleam off of everything that he could say, and any of his wisdom, any of his knowledge. Why? Because he left a lasting legacy, because he left something that stood the test of time and is going to stand even a longer test of time. And that's powerful. In some of his teachings, even today, we use some of those formulas with goal setting, like the goal setting strategies, about how he was over 200 pounds for how many years, and how he just, nobody ever forced him to eat anything, right? So it was always his choice to be overweight. But he needed to actually go through his steps in order to actually figure out or to move forward with that process. And we still use those formulas and those strategies, and we're still motivated by him. And his videos that are on YouTube have lasting impressions and thousands and thousands and thousands of hits. And I believe that a man like him is going to go down in the history books as a legend in the motivational speaker category. I remember Zig years ago and listening to his tapes, because I actually was in Amway business years ago. My parents were higher up in Amway, and he used to go to some of the motivational events. And whether or not you like Amway or you have a good or bad impression of it, what you probably do know is that Amway is an incredibly successful organization. They would hire speakers like Zig Ziglar at the different conferences. And I remember listening to his tapes in the 80s. And of course, I'm young, I'm 35. So it doesn't have to be on a stage. Your legacy doesn't have to be built on a stage. But I'm going to bring you right back to the quote from Robin Williams in the Dead Poets Society. What will your verse be? If it's not on the stage, what is it? You don't have to have Ted's vision either. Ted's vision is huge. It's vast. But what is your vision? What is your legacy? What are you doing in the world? What are you doing to step out? What are you doing to step forward? Have you even thought about it? The year's almost done. At the beginning of the year, we often start thinking about what we're going to do the next year, but that's really about where it ends. Oftentimes what we find, and what I find anyway as a coach, is that we talk at the beginning of the year about what's going on and what our goals are and what kind of commitments we want to make, but things drop off. We don't go to the gyms as much. We don't go to all these different events as much that we wanted to. We're not as caring. We're not focused on the relationship we wanted to mend. We just exist, and for lots of good reasons. It's busy out there. It's incredibly busy out there. It's incredibly hard at times to actually succeed in. And some people find that it's difficult just raising a family with all the stresses and pressures of a family. Of course, you can always justify that, but going back to the Rocky quote, no one's going to hit as hard as life. But it's not a matter of how hard you get hit. It's the fact that you get back up, and you get back up, and you keep on going forward. because that's how winning's done. So I'm incredibly thankful as well for leaders that go before me that inspire me, because I can't do this alone. And Ted is one of my mentors. I take in a lot of the things that he says, and I try to follow him as much as I can because I know that he's living it. And that's the kind of leader that you want in your life, someone who's living it. So I want you to ask yourself that question, is who is a mentor to you? Who is leaving a legacy right now that's living it? And how can you get in a relationship with that person? Because you need to leave a legacy. If you don't, you are already. It's been a pleasure having you here with us on the show today. Abundance Coaching TV is a coaching TV program that is inspired by my vision to have thousands of people connect with their authentic, amazing self so that they can live with passion and have abundance in their life. And I really am excited that you're joining us for this program. We're not going to air any programs over the Christmas season, but we will air programs starting again on January the 9th. Until we chat again, leave your legacy. Give yourself away. Live with passion and have abundance in life.